Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about mental cartography. I think I said it right. I'm just gonna hold it to it. So I have a returning guest here, Steven, who's going to be helping us think about this in a whole new light because you know what? This is a thinker and something that we should think about. So thank you so much, Steven, for coming on to my show again so that I can pick your mind on this topic. So when you
No
hear the
problem.
words mental cartography, what does that make you think about?
Well, this is a something I've created. Well, I'm kind of developing through my musing program, but cartography, the word actually means map making or the study of creating maps, which is typically so a cartographer would go out and review a piece of land or property and know how to translate that information into a map, and then people use that map to travel that land. And my version of it is I use it in musing is it for taking ideas and being able to translate them into different things in our mind so we can use them in a different way. And we use this for creatively, entertainment, and understanding. And that's so they're the three branches of mental cartography that we use.
Oh, I like that. But I like those branches because if you really think about it, when you get creative, you kind of go through like a map, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly like you say, we go through a map. And when we go through our understanding, we go through a map. Every time we process something, we go through our little filing cabinets in our minds and determine where this lies in our section and of understanding or perception or wherever it may fall. And
hmm
if it doesn't land in somewhere that we already have implemented, then it's like brand new,
right.
scary, taboo. What are we gonna do with it? So it's like we are like this diving deeper into our mind. Am I right?
Yeah. It's about mapping your thoughts and your ideas to be able to connect different ideas together that may naturally not work together, but there are truths that are similar. So for mapping for entertainment, do you Baz Luhrmann did a film in 1996, Romeo plus Juliet. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think
was like
so.
a Romeo and Juliet. It was a modernized Romeo and Juliet story where they mapped Romeo and Juliet, but they mapped it onto gangs in LA. So that's how entertainment mapping is. You take it, okay, we take all the Shakespearean elements, but what does that element look like instead of swords, they have really shiny pistols. Instead of, these fight scenes, we have gun duels. And that's what mapping is. It's taking one idea and then translating it into something else using the same parts that connect up. So the weapons were different. The story was different. But the story was the same, but the characters were a little different. So that's how mapping for entertainment works. And people do it all the time.
Yeah, it sounds like we do it naturally, but we just never really labeled it into a way that makes it understand they think, it is what it is, or something like that. But it's like, no, it's so much deeper. It's so much
Yeah.
deeper because I feel like when we understand where it is in our mind, then we can identify those sorrows, that anger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those deep emotions. Am I right?
Yeah. And deep human emotions happen every year, all the time. So when you take something historical and you map it onto now, we still have the same emotions that we did back then, but
Mhm.
they're different situations. And so we can highlight different elements of humanity by mapping different specific things to tell just this one part of like MASH. The show MASH was
Oh, yeah.
a basically a comedy based in it was about studying life and what like the tragedy of war through comedy in a medical unit. So they had all these medical emergencies that were actually about like a part of humanity. So that they mapped humanity into a mobile army surgical hospital. And that's why it was so interesting because it wasn't just about a hospital, it was about humanity being represented in that way.
Yes, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I wish more people can grasp this understanding. So it's like
Now
it
the
makes
understand
me go ahead. Go
oh
ahead.
no you well
Oh well, I
the
guess
second
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
the second part, that's for the entertainment of mental cartography. So the second part of it is the bigger one, which is the real one that I want to talk to people about, is understanding. Because this is the issue that I think people don't know is we all think our brains process information in the same way, and that's wrong. Everyone's brains actually process information incredibly differently, but it's so complicated and so difficult for us to understand that we can't grasp the fact that there are other ways of thinking. We're
Yes.
taught to think our way. This is how everyone thinks. We all go to the same school. We all learn the same thing. So we all think, oh, we all think the same way. No.
Oh.
But how we learn how other people think is by mapping.
Mm,
So let's say I have friends who love D&D. They don't understand sports. I have friends who love sports. They don't understand D&D. I
mm,
understand both of them.
mm.
So I can tell someone, okay, if you want to understand this, you have to understand that they have the same passion and care and love for this that you have for your thing. That's the first thing you have to understand. It's like, how can you love that? Okay, first off, how can you love men in tight uniforms throwing balls at each other?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's deeper than that. Because you connect on it something more. The how just like how can you love people in fantasy outfits running around saying things that aren't real? Because they connect to something deeper than that. So it's
Yeah.
about finding the deeper things that both people can understand and then telling them, oh, yeah, well, your DM, that's your quarterback. That's the most important person. And then I was like, oh, well, I understand that. And it's taking something that you already know and then using that to understand things you don't. But the trick
Exactly.
is the person helping you has to know both things. I have
Hmm.
to know D&D and football to be able to tell you how they connect.
Exactly. Like a translator. You know what I mean? You got to
So
know both languages to understand.
So that's mental cartography is the study of the things that connect between odd things.
Oh, I love that. I think that is what proves my reason to say common sense is not common because not everybody perceives the same thing. Not everybody learns the same thing. We're all taught something different to survive in our area, in our environment, in our family, in our time that we grew up in. So yes, oh my goodness. So that's the reason why it pisses me off where this new generation is like, well, we need to start making common sense common again. Common sense will never be common. Never,
No,
ever, ever,
no,
ever, ever. And that's the thing that I think people need to understand because of this concept right here is the fact that we are perceiving life differently. We are learning differently. We are understanding differently. We categorize differently. Our passions are different. And
right.
that deep drive that motivates us, that flame inside of us, we will never recognize it in somebody else if we always just look in the surface level of things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like people only see as far as their hands go out because they're not really looking beyond. They're not really trying to see beyond. And
Yes,
it's
because
and
they
it's
don't
kind of
know
frustrating.
they don't know that there is a beyond. They think
Yeah.
everyone's operating from the same box of crayons, and they're just thinking, why did that guy choose that color? That's a strange color to choose. It's like because that color wasn't in your box. You didn't get that
Yeah.
box, that color, that crayon in your box. So the trick isn't
Yes.
it's realizing that we all have these same passions, same fears, same issues, but they all look differently and they present
Mhm.
differently. That's the only difference is
Yeah.
finding the connections. And because once you find the connections, you can be like, oh, well, this isn't just about fight. Like, this isn't just about, oh, what was I doing before?
A D and
I
D.
can't remember. I can't remember the connection I was making. So this isn't just about mechanics and doctors.
Yeah.
Anyone with a patient, anyone with a client has the same kind of issue. So you can connect anything. So like any kind of food can do this way. My other favorite mental cartography, fusion cooking. Fusion cooking is taking recipes and techniques from completely different parts of the world and bringing them together. That's mental cartography. Those are ideas that are were generated in completely different parts of the world for the things that they had that are brought across. Like, why do we have noodles all around the world? Where were they? Like ramen
Yeah.
noodles,
How? Why?
spaghetti. Why do
When?
we have,
Yeah.
yeah, then we have like everyone has their own version of packaged meat. So you have like a papusa
Spam.
or a spam or like but I mean like cups or anything you want. There's all these different versions of the same kind of thing all over the world. And
Yeah.
I want people to study the interconnected instead of worrying about like why am I special? It's like why are we why are we
Why are
all
we
connected?
Yeah, why are we alike? How are we alike? So
That's what it
many
is.
people are so caught up in, I'm so unique, I'm so special, so original. I'm so individual. Like, sweetie, this has been done in the same time frame, but in a different, in a different
Yeah,
time frame. This situation has already been done. This conversation has already been done. The problem is that we don't take acknowledge of it. We don't have accounts for it. And because
right,
there's no accounts, there's no records for such things in place, we're like, oh, this is brand new. We created this. I'm the only one that created the glitter tattoo, or I'm the only
right.
one that did this, this, and this. And I'm like, no, we've all done it in some way, shape, or form. It's just about connecting it and bringing it all together and reminding that we, man, this world is so small. Like, we are all intermingled together one way or another. So
Yeah.
when I was doing my research on this, one thing that got me curious was spatial knowledge.
Mm.
In your perspective, what does spatial knowledge necessarily mean?
Oh, well, my term would be spatial awareness, I think. Uh,
Oh,
that the spatial not is wow. To me, that's about an understanding of uh like your
I know I just
body.
got deep, right? You got to really think about
Well,
it.
it's an understanding of your physical body in space and how space interacts around your body, I would say. Almost
Yeah.
like awareness, like a situational awareness as well. One of the things I study.
Yes, yes. And I think that's something that we also need to remember is that with this mental cartography, goodness, oh, with this information, we have to also remember that space knowledge is also very real because this has
Yeah.
energy that lingers within us. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why people say that, oh, every time I go to this spot, I hate it because of such and such happened that happened 5, 10 years ago. But it's like you haven't acknowledged a space for
Yes.
being there, for actually being there. You know what I mean? Not you haven't forgiven the space for being there and just happen to just be there in the
Yes.
moment. You know what I mean? People don't realize that. And when somebody else was talking to me about forgiveness and she talked about the space and how you have to forgive the space, it made me dive deeper into that concept. And that's when I fell into spatial knowledge because I'm just like, this is bigger than what we make it seem. That's the reason why when we go into events and we go to these like for instance, I just went to a baseball game and I was starting to get anxiety because there were so many people around. It's because my space awareness, my spatial knowledge was getting invaded and I didn't know what to do with it. So that's when I allowed my anxiety to get up. But then I was able to calm myself down, very proud of myself. But it comes down to like we don't put those two and two together. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, it's about uh, everything you interact with in the world,
Mhm.
whether it's a space, object, person, uh, concepts, you actually develop a relationship with it.
Yes.
So you have relationships to spaces, just like like there are certain spaces that make you feel comfortable, make you feel on edge, make you feel so anything that you have to go through in a relationship, you still have that with a space. So there are times when you have to break up with spaces, where you have to make up with spaces, where you have to apologize, you have to forgive because your emotions don't recognize the fact that it's a place, not a person. They just
Yeah.
recognize this is something that created emotions in me, and I have a relationship with it. Once it because
Yes.
your body uses the tools it knows to understand things. So it will, oh, let's do a relationship. We'll create a relationship with it. And like that's because
Yeah.
it understands that. All of human bodies are so efficient that it reuses systems all the time. So all the things it knows, it just keeps redoing them over and over again.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up because it brings us down to comfort, our comfort zones, and that's is how we can get locked in our comfort
Yes.
zones. This is how we can get trapped in our own environment. Why do you think hoarders end up burying themselves alive? Because they have trapped themselves in that space. And I
Yeah.
don't think people really understand the severity of how our mind works. And when you put it in that form, like our mind doesn't know it as a person, they know it as an
No.
object that we interact with. We are still in that space. So because we are in that space, it has already connected ourselves with it. And it's like
Mhm.
we need to learn how to detach ourselves. We need to learn how to not live like, oh, we're just robots, but we also need to learn how to like recognize when a space or a person or a place doesn't, or an object, you know what I mean, even an object doesn't need that attachment. And I think that's something that is a learning process.
So let me give you a piece of mental cartography. Picture yourself as an iPhone.
Okay.
Everywhere you stay for a long time, you need to plug in and recharge at some point.
Yeah.
And the energy you get from that space defines what kind of energy you have in your phone that day. So comfort
Hmm.
zones charge your phone faster. Scary places will charge it spottily. You may never feel a full charge if you're in a place you don't like. But that's the kind of thing. It's like you're plugging into the energy of your environment when you run low.
Yes. Yes, and that's the reason why we can be around certain people and feel our energy be drained
Yes.
because of that right there, because it involves with our space or involves with our interaction, involves with our words. It involves us. So it's like knowing our mind, having that self-awareness, just having that self-awareness, and I think is an important key to this concept of even having that spatial awareness,
Oh,
you
it's
know?
completely key. Yeah, it's completely key. You cannot start drawing a map if you don't know where you are. And
Hmm. It's like
like,
when you see a
that's
map at the
that
mall and then you're like, you are here. And
are
like, where
here.
am I? Yeah, exactly. You need to have that type of map inside your mind. Oh my goodness. Steven, I'm loving it. I'm loving this because I think this changes the game because I think once you get this concept down, then you'll be able to know why you're in anger, why you're in
Yes.
sadness,
Yes.
what's triggering you, what's happening. Then you can remember, oh, okay, oh, yeah, my grandmother died. I forgot about that. Okay, well,
Right.
then let me acknowledge her and give her and give me that peace so that I can acknowledge her, but then let me let that go because she's no longer with us and I don't have to bother, you know what I mean? I don't have to
Right.
allow that to linger. And I think that's something that a lot of people really need to think about this.
But that's the
Goodness.
hard part is like you know the amount of different things that are going around in your head at any time.
Yeah.
So only you can really like draw the maps for yourself. No, you can't really draw maps for other people. You can show them, but only you know how many different paths are in there. And it's so tricky.
Yeah. And you can't be afraid to dive into yourself.
Nope.
And I think so many people are so afraid to just discover what they'll find within. But I think they shouldn't be afraid. You know what I mean? I think
No.
this is a great opportunity to really learn who you are and why you tick and why you really move. And I think it allows you to have that forgiveness for yourself, right?
One of the things I've heard through I've talked to a couple different people doing this now, and one of the things that someone mentioned to me that really stuck with me is there are many people in this world who are spend a daily trying to justify their existence. They wake up thinking, okay, how do I prove that I'm supposed to be here today? And I had that. Once I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's what I've spent my entire life. Every day I wake up trying to justify why I'm here. And there's so many people
Yeah.
who do that without realizing that's what they're doing. Because at some point someone told them, you're like, what are you worth? Or you're worthless. And they're like, every day I have to prove that I have worth. And you
Yeah.
don't. You really don't.
That's true. And I hear that a lot with men because men are supposed to be this way and that way and this way and that way. And pride's a bitch. Let's be honest. Because I
Oh
hear it all
yeah.
the time with my husband and it bothers me because it's like I can't crack that nut with him. But I know it's not just him. I know there's so many other men out there that feel like, oh, because I'm a man, I have to X, Y, and Z, A, B, C down the
Hmm.
list. And it's like, no, you are great as you are. You whatever you do in today is what is beautiful. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing else. Like I'm not putting pressure on you. There's nobody else putting pressure on you. The kids aren't putting pressure on you. This is in your own frame of mind. And until you
Yeah.
release that, until you let that go, then it will always be your truth. So I guess it comes down to what do you believe is true for you, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's what are the truths for you? There are things that are true of you. Are you admitting them or are you front running from them?
Oh, I like that.
And that's what
Right?
mental cartography is about, finding the truths, because it's truths connect, because the truths are real. Like they're always like those are the things that like so we look for the way the truths connect and then see what else connects around them. But you have to start from that
Mm.
point of like you are here.
Yeah, exactly. You are here. You need to start from that. There sounds like there's really a lot of positives that could come from just having this awareness. So I guess my question to you is, how did you necessarily fall into this? Because I know the last time we were talking, it was a whole different topic about neurodivergence and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like now you're in this category. So it's like, what made you fall into this?
Well, when I wrote my first book, um, which is all about like observations and theories, it kind of put me on this path of musing. which is what I do. I'm a professional muse. So, but I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out what that is and refine it and kind of cram it down. And it's about musing is about the study and appreciation of humanity. And the biggest part of that is how humans think and how humans interact. And I realized as I was studying this, like all these ideas are just interactions in our mind. Like we're just like we're, everything's been done, so it's just about connecting to things to
Yeah.
make a new pattern. So once you
Yeah.
realize that that's what creativity really is, it's just connecting ideas in our minds. Then I just started studying of like, well, how do ideas connect? And I would think about like, well, I thought about this, but how did that, so I went back through all this screenwriting thing, all these ideas, and I'm like, well, this is just a reflection of that, or this has just changed this. And I actually just took that and put different time. And then I started, instead of studying the creativity, studying like helping the creative project, I studied the way I was creating. And that became so much more interesting to me. You
Yeah.
know,
I like
instead
that.
of writing a screenplay, figuring out how a writer created it, that's the wow.
Yeah.
That to me gets me up in the morning, like exciting, just thinking about how your
Yeah.
mind works. So I love watching filmmaker commentaries
Yeah.
because that's sitting there listening to an artist explain how their mind worked as you watch the art that they created. That tells you so much about humanity.
It
Oh,
does. It does. And I wish there was more commentary like that because I agree. Because when I think about how I write my novels and how I have my next novel coming up and how I want that to be a little different than my first one and how I'm figuring it out and how I'm maneuvering and how I'm viewing it through my lens. It's a beautiful, I'm excited. You know what I mean? It gets me
yeah,
excited. I just wish I had more time to work on it. But it's just like I get excited when I'm actually in it because it's such a beautiful experience. So yeah,
yeah,
I think if we allow ourselves to just observe and everything that comes in as is face value
yeah,
and then once you get the face value and you understand where it categorizes in your mind, go deeper. You know what I
yes.
mean?
Go deeper. Yes,
Move the dirt around. You know what I mean? Like move your body around. Stop looking just at your fingernails and look up around you and start seeing like
yeah.
people are
Don't just
working
make
so differently.
when you map yourself. Don't just make a crude drawing.
Mm.
Get it. The more detailed, the more understanding you know about yourself, the more you know about your environment, the more complicated your map will be, and the better you can use it to navigate your life because you'll know precisely where everything is and how you respond to it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, Stephen. I'm loving this conversation. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, time is catching up to us, sadly, but what can be some lasting words of wisdom you can leave us off with?
Give yourself permission to be human.
Oof.
Honestly, so many people are just looking for permission to. Humans are fallible. We make mistakes. We get up, we atone, and then we keep going. But yeah, give yourself permission to fail and be human.
I love that. I think if we just realize that we all are human and our human tendencies are not our faults,
Yeah.
it's not our demise. I mean, it's just who we are. I mean, if we just accept them, then we'll be able to accept other people for who they are as a human being and stop trying to
Yes.
find ways to discriminate, ways to separate, ways to divide. You know what I mean? This would be such a healthier, happier place, but the superiority complex is such a delusion that it's only affecting the people who get sick from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who allow themselves to get sick from this disease of this delusion of superiority because it's not real. We're all the same. We're all
And
just human beings.
that delusional sickness is contagious.
Oh, so contagious. Why do you think fear is so contagious? Why do you think
Yeah.
anger is so contagious? I mean, it is. These emotions are very contagious. Why do you think the government doesn't want to say certain things that are happening? Because of the contagiousness of fear and how it just ripples up into mayhem.
And positivity and like remember that, but that means all emotions can be contagious. That means joy can be contagious, happiness can be contagious. But like mapping is not just about focusing on the negative, hit the positive too.
Exactly. And when you focus on the positive, you realize how much joy you actually have in your
Yeah.
life. How peaceful your life actually is in such a sense that you're like, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not that bad. Like people don't realize like you are not doing bad. It's just when we allow comparison, that little
Yes.
worm comparison to come in to determine where you are at compared to somebody else. Like, who are you to do that? Your strengths are great for who you are. Your weaknesses are great for who you are too. Your toxicity is even good for who you are because they are used for your own advantage in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everything is so good because I remember talking to somebody and they were like, "Oh, if this person acts a certain way, I would need them to stay away from me." But I'm like, not all the way because I need you to come back because you that toxicity can also be seen as a gift. And when it's
Yes.
used as a gift, then oh, that right there can be beautiful in its moment. So it's like we can't continue to question why I am the way I am, why I do the what I do, why I move the way I move. Like we have to truly accept ourselves for all that we are.
Or change the tone of the question.
Mm, change the words around too, right?
Well, here you
Word
go.
choice
Well, you
is a
go. Like,
thing.
why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Yeah, right?
Don't say it with judgment. Say it with honest, positive curiosity about something
Mhm.
about yourself. Like, why did I do that? And then think about why you did it in a
Mm.
positive, gentle way, and you will learn about yourself instead of
Mm,
judging yourself.
exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. See all the goodies all for you. All these bomb knowledges. Boom, 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 boom. I hope you marinated inside like a spaghetti meatballs. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Please go check him out. I have his lovely photo on my website so you can go have access to all of the goodness that he has to offer the world because he has some good information, some goodies to share so that you can continue on thinking. Because isn't that the point to
Yes.
continue on thinking? There you go.
Thinking,
Bye,
thinking,
y'all.
loving, and living.
There you go.